And if you suspect child abuse, then you must report it to the Child Care and Protection Agency. During this time more than ever, we have to be the eyes and ears of abused children across the country. So if you see it, or you know it, or even if you just think it's child abuse, then you must report it to the police or call the CPA hotline on 227-0979.
A message from the Child Care and Protection Agency, Ministry of Human Services and Social Security, and UNICEF.
This is the news on top of the hour.
Live from our studio in Georgetown.
Kaieteur Radio, 99.1 FM.
With the news at this time, my name is Joshua Van Slyckman. Let's get to the news in details. SO Exploration and Production Guyana Limited, commonly referred to as ExxonMobil Guyana, has selected its long-term partner and London-based consultant, Environmental Resources Management, to conduct an environmental impact assessment for its sixth project in the Stabroek Block, the Whiptail development. The credibility of ERM came under scrutiny just over a year ago after the signature of a People's Progressive Party's civic member, Sham Nokta, appeared on the cover of the developer's EIA for the Yellowtail project, the fourth development in the rich Stabroek Block. An apology letter was later issued by ERM explaining that Nokta played no role in the conduct of the EIA. Environmentalists had flagged the issue, referring to it as serious conflict of interest. Moreover, they highlighted the short term in which these studies were being prepared for the nation. A group of Caribbean organizers had objected to the Yellowtail EIA done by ERM, insisting that the consultant group has been copying and pasting sections of their previous EIA into new documents without considering whether or not those assessments were done to honor the steps it had outlined regarding potential trans-boundary victims. It was also reported that the experts hired to conduct those studies have worked with the oil companies for years. This much can be found in the most recent EIA completed by ERM for Exxon's gas-to-energy project to be constructed at Wales on the west bank of Demerara. An argument over a price of sand on Friday ended with the owner of a popular resort along the Linden-Suizek Highway and some of his workers being arrested by police after they assaulted a truck driver and vandalized his company's truck. The beaten truck driver has been identified as Ramkumar Prasad. According to information received by Kaieteur, the resort owner owns the sandpit, and he reportedly assaulted the truck driver after a heated quote-unquote cuss-out between Prasad and the resort's owners. Workers ensued at about 6 hours 30. Prasad alleged that the argument stemmed over the right price for sand. The police were called and ranks arrested the resort owner and his workers. The Guyana Police Force on Friday issued a wanted bulletins for Kevin Pollard, called Chinese, for the offense of rape. And notably, Pollard was one of the three men charged back in October of 2022 for allegedly gang raping a Venezuelan woman at 2nd Avenue, Bartica, Region 7. And 36-year-old Kevin Budram of Lot 435, Block 8, Agriculture, Monrepo, East Coast, Demerara, is also wanted by the Guyana Police Force for conspiracy to commit murder. The police are asking anyone with information about the whereabouts of Pollard and Budram to contact the nearest police station. A passionate and almost angry Barra Jagdeo, while functioning as leader of the opposition just over 3 years ago, said in an interview that the then coalition government, quote-unquote, sold the country to foreigners because that administration failed to include the ring fencing to shore up profits from 2016 production sharing agreement with American oil giant ExxonMobil. At that time, Jagdeo assured that when the People's Progressive Party Civic returned to office, this would be a priority when the contract is renegotiated. Soon after taking office in 2020, the now Vice President has not only changed his tune, but also his tone when it comes to the renegotiation of the Exxon contract and securing greater benefits for Guyanese. At a press conference held on December 9th, Jagdeo was visibly annoyed when he was confronted with the questions of renegotiation by Kaieteur News publisher and businessman Glenn Lal. The VP stated that at every press conference he's been asked the same set of questions and sought to make it clear that the Exxon deal will effectively remain the same. To this end, Lal, during his radio program aired on Kaieteur Radio on January 30th, 2023, stated the lion has turned into a pussycat. His actions, his words, and posture today is more of a man who's pretending to be clueless, helpless, powerless, and useless when he has to deliver on his own promises. And does Exxon Mobil Corporation regard Guyanese as unintelligent, undeserving, or respect and dignity incapable of knowing when the proverbial wool is being pulled over their eyes? The spectrum of emotion one can feel from lending due consideration to such a question was pronounced at a project meeting on Thursday evening at the Humaniana. The occasion marked the first and only Georgetown scoping meeting for the 6th oil project to be developed in the Stabroek Block by Exxon's subsidiary EEPGL. Key themes were raised for discussion centered on how Exxon would treat the excess gas for the 6th project and the type of insurance coverage in place for an oil spill and possible implication for Caribbean territories. Also raised was the question of who is keeping an eagle's eye on Exxon's operation to ensure it is in compliance with international best practices. At the conclusion of the scoping meetings, attendees got a clear understanding of how hungry Exxon is for Guyana's oil, but not so much about the environmental implications since the relevant representatives on the issue were not present. Exxon's 6th project will target the whiptail, pinktail, and tilapia discoveries, estimated to hold over 1 billion barrels of oil resources. The project is poised for startup in 2027 to 2028 and will produce between 220,000 and 275,000 barrels of oil per day. Scoping meetings for this project continues on Monday at the Maikoni Technical Institute. And 13 persons are now homeless after a Grove East Bank Demerara house was maliciously destroyed by fire during the wee hours of Friday. The fire service in a statement said that the Lot 110 Grove Public Road 2-story wooden and concrete building, which housed 4 families, was set on fire by unknown arsonists. The Guyana Fire Service further said that it was alerted about the fire around 2 hours 45, and upon receiving the call, water tenders from the Eccles and Diamond fire stations were dispatched to the location. Some of the occupants of the house were at home at the time when the fire erupted and were able to vacate the premises. The house and all the contents therein was completely destroyed, leaving 13 persons homeless. Kaieteur understands that the owner of the property has died, but the property is subject to a dispute. Investigations are ongoing. And we tell you now that Opposition Member of Parliament David Patterson on Friday disclosed that the 346 million Bimia Primary School is behind schedule for completion as works are only 20% completed. In a Facebook post, the former Minister of Public Infrastructure and Opposition MP reminded that on November 8, 2021, a $346 million contract was awarded to Statement Investment Inc. for the construction of the Bamia Amelia Wards Primary School in Linden Region 10. The contract for the school has a 20-month lifespan, which means that the project should be completed in July of this year. The MP shared that to date, almost 50% of the contract sum has been paid to the contractor. Of note is the fact that Statement Investment Inc. was incorporated the same year it received the contract to construct the school. Kaieteur understands that when fully completed, the school will accommodate some 800 students. And finally, at this time, Dana Ryan Shaw, called Boise of Plantation Hope East Coast Demerara, made his first court appearance on Thursday at the Vigilant Magistrates Court, where he was charged for the offense of murder. The accused appeared before Magistrate Phoebe Azur, where the charges were read to him. He was not required to plea and was remanded to prison. Shaw was captured on January 25, 2023, after a wanted bulletin was issued for him in relation to the murder of Nasaleen Mohammed at Hope Lowlands on the east coast of Demerara. He was found in an abandoned house at Mahaika Region 4 one day after the police issued a wanted bulletin. The case will come up for report on March 14, 2023. And that's the news to the moment. I'm Joshua Van Slyckman. Thank you for joining us.
Kaieteur Radio, keeping you informed.
Demerara and Essequibo 99.1 FM.
Berbice 99.5 FM. Kaieteur Radio. Kaieteur Radio, keeping you informed.
Demerara and Essequibo.